course you can't hear me. I don't have my mic on. Now you can probably hear
Oh,
me. And we
yes,
can hear
I
you.
can.
Perfect.
Hi, aloha.
Um,
Not to 9:30, yeah?
great.
Who's this? Who is this? Hi, who's this?
Morning, this is
Oh,
Kukana. Aloha
Hi,
mai.
Kukana. You're coming on at E
9:30?
Kalamai 9:35. So call us back 9:35.
Okay.
but thank you for
Okay.
checking in. We know it
Sister,
works now.
I'm
Yeah,
so happy you
I was
guys
just
did
gonna
what you did.
share.
Okay, I'm
Thank
on the
you.
edge. We're going on live now.
Okay, see you then.
Okay,
Aloha.
Thank
love
you.
you.
Thank you.
Aloha.
Thank you. My mic down.
Uh-oh. Why is it typing out words?
That was fun, wasn't it? Those few of you who are here early. That was the first time we've had somebody call in to double check their Zoom connection before the show.
And now it's typing back live.
Yeah.
Weird.
My apologies, you guys. I didn't realize the audio was going to go through.
Aloha kakahiaka, Facebook land, and all you Kanakas out there, and all you Kanaka all you lovers of all things Hawaiian. It's Ka'u Lenny, and the song says sovereignty, and it's a really weird time right now, but the show must go on, and we've got a great show for you today. First of all, we want to say so sorry that Kalamai Sister Cookie's not going to be able to be with us this morning. She's a little under the weather. So send you her prayers. However, we are going to play a video clip of Sister Cookie from a couple days ago that received almost 4,000 views. It's really a great video. So you want to be here for that. Also, sending my aloha out to Sister Keala Kelly. Keala featured Cookie on her podcast. And you can find this podcast, The Native Truth, at AnnKealaKelly.com for information. I want to say big mahalos to you, Keala Kelly. She is the creator of that film, Noho Heva, and that's also available at her website, AnnKealaKelly.com. And we're going to be working together more as time goes on. And she sent us this message, and I kind of want to give you the crux of this message. But those of us who do actual media related to our people in Hawaii, we need to keep the political and historical truth effing clear right now. And yes, I agree with you, sis. The state is going to keep telling us what we need to focus on, everything except our history and our truth. So we must hold that for our people. I know you know this, sis. Anyways, aloha no. This is our message this morning from Keala Kelly. Love you, Keala. And again, Keala Kelly, you can check her out at AnnKealaKelly.com or Keala Kelly on Facebook. There's a link to her movie Noho Heva, which is kind of a lead into what's going on now. In this show, we're going to be hearing from our heroes on Kauai. Some of them were out planting kalo on Kauai, while there's a perspective that all of our people are running wild and harassing visitors. Yes, I think they should be harassed for coming here to our place. They should be sent home. They should go home now. But in the meantime, some of them are stuck here and cannot get here. There are more things going on than just that. We have photos for you and a story about how our Kauai guys got together and planted 900 huli the other day. Also, the sad story of Kauai, how Kauai County stole the va'a, the canoe, from the watershed down in Hanalei from the canoe house and hid it from them for a couple weeks and wouldn't tell anyone why they took it or what's going on with that. So Konohiki Kaimi Himrosera is going to be calling in from the island of Kauai with a report of what's going on over there around 9:25ish. And there's just so much going on. So while the guys were planting kalo on Kauai, on the North Shore, Jesse Olanolan decided to take his backhoe and take out all of our taro patches in Wainiha that were just getting ready to be food for everybody. And you'll recall he almost ran me, Auntie Nunny, and Auntie Louise down with a backhoe a few years ago when we were out defending that site. So lots of stuff going on the island of Kauai, all happening while they had a tsunami warning and just crazy. I feel for my island because they have so little help, very little resources. It's not like Big Island is so different. There's a lot of food here. So we're going to be talking about what's going on the island of Kauai. After that, we're going to have a call from Kukana Toth. She and her family decided to provide the houseless in Waimanalo with hot showers, warm showers, after they boarded up all the bathrooms. Can you imagine? That is like the worst possible thing of all to do right now. People need to have access to running water and toilets. They need to be able to wash their hands and use a bathroom versus just squatting everywhere. And already in downtown Honolulu, people are just squatting everywhere. It's a hotbed for not only coronavirus, but everything else. And then in the 10 o'clock hour, big treat, it's going to be Kalani and Doug Herman of Grove Farm Museum. He currently is running Grove Farm Museum. We on Kauai received him from the Smithsonian Native American Museum. And his whole study has been about how epidemics have affected Hawaiians throughout our history. And they're going to be talking about the pandemic happening. And we're going to be showing a link to his article that's just been published in the Smithsonian about what's happening today. So lots going on, lots going on. Want to send all my aloha out to you guys that are watching. Start your watch parties. I know it's a little long-winded this morning, but there's a lot going on. I want to make sure you all have, use your rubber gloves when you go to the store, yeah? Because the coronavirus lives on surfaces. And we have right now for sale for $150 million the last bottle of sanitizer from the KTA. 150 million kalas. That's all it costs. Nah. But be sure and be prepared. Use your masks. I, of course, have my mask made out of 100% recycled coconut bras. It doubles as a punani protector. But in this case, can work, yeah? So get your coconut bras out. Enjoy the music. We'll be back in a few minutes with Cookie's Corner.
Lauren, Hawaii has a strong history of civilians standing up for what they believe. And
now these protests are receiving international coverage, becoming one of the most notable in Hawaii's history.
The world is watching, and the world is saying we should take a pause. And this is where care and decency and love and respect for not only culture but for humanity really comes.
Kapua Madaris Kuinoa and Aya Obo me Anake Sandy Kapohu Olahaina Moniz Pa Ma'ane Ima Waima Nalo. And good morning, Songs of Sovereignty. We're here in Waimanalo and you may hear the chickens and the cars going by, but we want to talk about our word of the day today, Ho'omakoko. Ho'omakoko is so important to us today because it represents us getting ready. It means to be ready, to get ready. It means to get ready, to prepare, to be prepared in these trying times of coronavirus and COVID-19. We need to make sure that we are prepared for whatever may come. Prepare our families, prepare ourselves healthy, prepare food, and we love Kayulani's picture she sent us of the garden that she's starting. We love the Victory Gardens video last week. All of this is about Ho'omakoko. So a Ho'omakoko kako, e kalahui. Let's all be ready, get prepared for what is coming in the next month or two. And we hope that you all have a beautiful and blessed day. Mahalo kia kua, aloha kako, a hui ho. Mahalo.
How does a sovereign nation, now known as a vacation destination, get illegally overthrown? In 1893, we had a firm foundation. With illegal negotiation, she was dethroned, disowned, kicked out of her zone. Let's throw it back to Kamehameha I, a well-versed chief who traversed, unrehearsed, and conquered all of the islands. He rose above all of the Hawaiians. He showed the signs of a leader, a great succeeder, a mind reader. Next, Liholiho, Kamehameha II was beckoned by Ka'ahu Manu to lift the kapu.
It's on you.
He kept hearing inside of his head as he pondered with the thoughts of what his cousin Kekuao Kalani said. With very high rank, Liho drank and sank under the pressure, cause this was no prank. Adorned in a British coat, a mahi ole on his head, and an ahu'ula feather cloak wrapped around his neck. He lifted the kapu of men eating with women by sitting and permitting, but his cousin was not quitting. How their relationship was splitting. How I wished I was living in a time with so much forbidding. Who am I? Kalani, Ova Olili Kalani. Just look at the reality of Hawaii. 1891, age 53, inherited the throne from a well-known brother Kalakaua. Not agreeing with the bayonet constitution, the only solution was to draft her own constitution. January 14, 1893, the Committee of Safety all approached me so quickly. I ordered 12 police to arrest these members. There's too much fighting and writing and trying to be united. I, by the grace of God and under the Constitution of the Hawaiian Kingdom, do solemnly protest all acts done to me. I will not be fearsome to my people. I care for you, therefore I yield my authority for the benefit of the majority. Scamming for every book that she can write on, planning for the future. See her now as she stands on the steps of the palace. We will never understand how in Hawaii you can lose your land. In Hawaii you can take a stand. In Hawaii you can take a stand. In Hawaii you can lose your land. In Hawaii, take a stand. not forget me. My people, my throne, my culture, my home Hawaii. The first native Hawaiian female author to ever be.
Read about her, we learned about her, we sung about her, we loved her.
But she, through it all, she had to endure.
There's a million things she wished she'd done. It's never too late.
O vai koinoa.
Lili ua kalani.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, and just like the river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long, 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 long time coming, but I know change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. 'Cause I don't know what's up there, no, 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 beyond the sky. It's been a long, time coming, but I know, yes, I know, a change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. I go to the movie and I go downtown. Somebody keep telling me, no, 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 don't you hang around. It's been a long, 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 long time coming, but I know, yes, I know, a change is gonna come. Then I go to my brother. I said, brother, help me please. But he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Oh, there are times when I thought that we couldn't last for long, but I know we're able to carry on. It's been a long, 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 long time coming, and I know, yes, I know, change gonna come. Oh, I know a change gonna come. I know a change is gonna come.
How prophetic, yeah, that song. A change is going to come. A change is here, and we are rising up. I want to say mahalo to everyone tuning in this morning, especially, most especially to Frank Hewitt, Kumu Frank Hewitt, tuning in and watching this morning. Much aloha to you. Hope you're having a good morning and that you're safe and you have everything you need, because this is our time now. This is the hope of what's happening. This is our time. So, Sister Cookie Kalamai, she had a seizure. She has epilepsy. She cannot receive this vaccine, and there are many like her. And this video will show you just how very concerned we Kanaka are. Let's take a listen to Sister Cookie this morning. When she did this video, it had almost 4,000 views. So I think that what she's saying strikes a chord to all of us.
Aloha everyone. So, I don't do lives because my lives come from Songs of Sovereignty. And all these days, actually all this time, we have been getting ready for this. Ready for a rising up. If they don't can shut down the airports, if they don't can shut down the ports, we can. And we have to. We gotta do this. If they can send all these cops and deal in our up Mauna Kea, turn them around. We're going to send our people. I am so angry. We had a window. There was a window to protect our people, the people of the Hawaiian Kingdom, the residents that live here, that work here, that feed their family here, work 3 jobs. Was just all in the Aina, in the Mulivai right now, getting ready for this kind of crap. So I'm telling everybody out there, be ready. Feed your people, because we're going to have to stand up to these idiots sucking Hawaiian Airlines dicks, Mufi Hanneman's tourist industry. They're going to cater to the tourists. That's like a 14-day vacation quarantine. What about our houseless? What about the people on the streets, our kupuna, who cannot provide for themselves? I am so angry. Oh my God. We supposed to come first. The people of the Hawaiian Kingdom come first. Every one of you watching, everybody out there, we supposed to come first. Not Hawaiian Airlines, not the tourist industry. Bro, get people on every moku. They get mulivais, get lo'is going on for decades already. Our island here fed everybody. Throughout the islands in California back in the day, our kupuna did it. We can do it. I am so angry. Any residents that die, our Hawaiian Kingdom subjects, this is gonna be on Ige's hand. Negligence, blood on his hand. I am so angry. You guys have no idea. And Iolani, she knew it was coming. She started reporting on this coronavirus 2 months ago. We started talking about it, telling everybody, get ready. Make your food sovereignty, your food forest. Take care of your kupuna, because it's coming. They had a window. They lost it. Now it's our turn, our time. You think Mauna Kea was hard? No. Because we're going to have to deal with these corporate assholes. They think they know it all. They don't care about any of us. They care about the people in Waikiki, the people staying in our hotels. No. Think back in the day, before these hotels was all here, that was fish ponds. Everywhere in Oahu. Look around you. Look around you. Remember, back in the day, we all lost it. We lost our Aina. We got to take it back. Whatever way you can take it back, do it. You know what? If I got to get arrested just because I'm going to tell somebody, you and tourists, you don't belong here, go back to your home, take care of your Aina, your place, your people. No. We got to start taking care of each other. This should have happened long time ago. But you know what? We all got lazy. We got lazy with our fast foods. No, how long already? 5 years took me to lose 500 pounds. Okay? I'm angry. I'm angry at this situation that Ige put all of us in. It's wrong. Wrong of him. One, the first person die no matter what. Here in our moku, we all gonna feel the eha. All of this could have been stopped, halted all the international flights, all those flights that was at risk.
And if you've seen this video on Facebook, on Cookie's Facebook page, she's had almost 4,000 views, probably more like 20,000 now that we've put it on Songs of Sovereignty. But I really feel like, well, I have to say, a lot of people don't think I'm very nice about how I say and do things. But you got to admit, I know what's coming down the line long before it comes down the line because I'm paying attention. And for Cookie to go off like this and for her to be so triggered and so upset and to the point where it's affecting her health, I believe this is how most of us are feeling. So we really wanted to show you this video of Cookie. And hopefully you get the message that it's not just people like me that are saying, hey, tell the tourists go home. I think it's time for the tourists to go home, get home. I think the government really needs to spend some cash on making sure people get out of here and make that be the focus, not quarantining them. They need to mass carry with military jets visitors out of here and take them home. Okay, enough said. Sending you all our aloha, all you Facebookers out there watching. This next video is from a very brave young woman named Amadei Kawakohe Kalama Lama, and she is a 10th grader from Kamehameha Schools, Maui. And I am most interested in hearing what the youth have to say. So let's take a watch at this video.
Aloha kakahiaka yakako. My name is Kawakohe Malamalama, and I'm a native Hawaiian girl from the island of Maui. Currently, my family is in isolation in hopes of containing the spread of the coronavirus, and I've decided to make this video as a plea to non-residents to stop coming to Hawaii. Over 9,000 visitors arrived on Maui yesterday, with an average of 52,000 visitors a day on our island. This pandemic reminds me of a very dark period in our history, and according to some historical references, the population in Hawaii prior to the arrival of Captain Cook in 1778 was about 800,000
Let's
people.
get the flock off our
But
mountain
within
after
2
this.
years, a half of our population we lost due to the diseases brought by Cook's crew members that included syphilis, tuberculosis, and many others. 100 years later, our Hawaiian population dwindled down to 50,000. To all of you people that claim to care about the endangerment of plants and animals, please care about our endangered native Hawaiian population. We are from an oral history tradition, and it is our kupuna, our elders, that are our living treasures that link us to our historical past. This is the very population that you are endangering, including our families, when you jump on a plane for your corona vacay. My uncle had just shared an article with my mother and I, and it talked about how one irresponsible person was traced to infecting 3,000 people. So, when you touch the keypad at the gas station or the doorknob to the Hana store, please realize that you are that person. You have the responsibility of infecting all those people who would touch that. And that person is you. And if you loved Hawaii so much and its people, please do not love us to death, but yet stay home and care for your own selves. Mahalo.
Get the flock off our mountain. You get the flock off our mountain. Cause we will never run. Cause we love more than we scared of your guns. Get the flock off our mountain. You get the flock off our mountain. Cause we will never run. Cause we love more than we scared of your guns. Open our eyes to see a better way. Work together for a more collective say. Not go half a call it, go all the way. We living in the blessed era of Max Holloway. It is what it is, us champs grind every day. Steady banging, I know all Hawaii ne. Jedi Guardians of the Galaxy, non-fiction, I'm fallacy. Our home, not a theme park, museum or gallery. Off the grid, down in the valley. Living sustainably and happily. What we need, we get plenty. Nobody crank it. Go easy, spank it with your hanky-panky. Whole ante. Making big noise and we got them listening. Chanting, singing, dancing, and we whispering. In a battle never ending. Mount a defending, trending. This rebellion beginning to the happy ending. Get the flock off our mountain. You get the flock off our mountain. Cause we will never run. Cause we love more than we scared of your guns. Get the flock off our mountain. You get the flock off our mountain. Cause we will never run. Cause we love more than we scared of your guns. In this circle of assassins, we use words as weapons, tearing tyranny apart while we teaching lessons. Chanting down this Babylon system on pressing, lighting up the darkness, cleaning messes and spreading blessings. Ready, willing, and restless. Kiai frontliners in the trenches, ready to wreck shit. Dug in deep on heavy gangster beat. Bring the heat, never back down, surrender or retreat. Small victories, slight adjustments, press repeat. Our stories we now speak, we no need sneak. Nature over concrete is how we snatching victory from your jaws of defeat. Get the flock off our mountain. You get the flock off our mountain. Cause we will never run. Cause we love more than we scared of your guns.
Gila gila kemana wakea ewo orono ikabuve. Okala hui aloha ina hoina kia imai uka keke. Ehulia ehulima ehulia ehulima ehulia ehulima ehulia ehulima ehulia ehulima ehulia ehulima kila kila kemana wakea ewo orono ikabuve. Okala hui aloha ina hoina kia imai uka keke. Ehulia ehulima ehulia ehulima ehulia ehulima ehulia ehulima ehulia ehulima ehulia ehulima.
Get the flock off our mountain. You get the flock off our mountain. Cause we will never run. Cause we love more than we scared of your guns.
Mahalo, Amadi. Mahalo, Amadi, for calling, for sending your video to Auntie Cookie and to Auntie Cookie for working so hard getting that set up for us. You're tuned in to Facebook Live Songs of Sovereignty. We're having a lot of technical stuff going on. Our engineer's a little bit under the weather. Lots and lots of stuff going on. So bear with us. Please share the link. Share with everyone. And much aloha to you for tuning in this morning. We're doing our quick Kauai report. Of course, we're trying to do everything quick, but there's so much, it's hard to do it quick. First of all, I want to say big mahalos to Noah and Kamu and all of the guys that were out planting kalo while everyone's going nuts, screaming that the natives are harassing. That's, yes, beautiful photo of our gang over there. They put 900 huli into the ground. And, there's a perception that we have nothing better to do than run around and harass tourists, but that's just not true. We have a lot of people on the ground right now doing the best they can because Yakanaka, when it all comes down, we're going to be taking care of the government officials. We're going to be taking care of the visitors. We're going to be taking care of a lot of people because these guys, with all their cash and all their know-how, they don't know how to feed themselves. They're dependent. So mahalo, big mahalos to our Wailua Ohana and all of the gang that went to plant kalo. And as you know, if you've been following on Facebook, the county of Kauai stole our va'a from Hanalei, from down at Hanalei Bay, that Kaimi and the gang had been working on with the school kids, stole the va'a, stored it in a Department of Parks storage area. Everyone was calling the mayor, trying to find out, where is the va'a? Where is the va'a? Why did you guys take it? No reasons have been given. I believe the va'a has been returned. And we're going to be talking to Ka'imi in a few moments about this. So, you know, while there's a pandemic going, the state of Hawaii is still trying, the fake state of Hawaii is still trying to destroy our culture. And here you got a bunch of guys working with kids, building a va'a, building a canoe. They're not at the titty bar. They're not gambling, throwing dice down the beach. They're building va'as with the kids. And what does County of Kauai Mayor Derek Kawakami and Department of Parks do? They go steal what little these Hawaiian kids have to look forward to, lock them in a shed, and make everyone go on a wild goose chase. So really bad form, County of Kauai. It's just more of the same. And finally, want to talk about how, well, some people are planting. Do you have that photo of our kapuna signs that have been posted up? No, none of that photo. Okay, never mind that. We have one more photo of our destroyed lo'i in Wainiha. I'm hoping we do.
I thought, that's the next one.
Nope. Okay, that photo didn't get through. But while we were, okay, those are our warriors that plant for us and do a lot of hard work on our behalf on the island of Kauai, our Hawaiian warriors that you're seeing that image right now. We did have a photo of the destroyed lo'i that Jesse Olanalan took his backhoe yesterday and went and just destroyed the lo'i. And we have no reason, we don't really understand why that was done. So I'm going to put my phone because in Wainiha, there's no reception. So Ka'imi, first of all, let's talk about the stolen va'a. Yeah?
Okay.
What the hell is that all about?
Well, I don't know. I guess, politics are involved because of, I guess, it seems like our ohana is moving forward. And there has been a lot of, federal funding that's been coming in after the floods. And then, with our ohanas in our area in Hanalei, at the river mouth, there's many changes that came about without consultation processes with the ohanas, with the families. Some people say the native consultation under the Section 106 and all that kind of stuff. But because there's no consultation, the ohana has been, really asking and pushing the issue of, when they can have a meeting to express their concerns and their interests on certain pieces of the properties and lands, in our Haupua'a. But especially the old Hanalei Canoe Club, which was a very thriving era of our families. That was created in the 70s, and later on, and after Iniki, in 1992, it was never, resurrected. But it's a very old hale, old canoe house. So that was a place where we were, doing our program in partnerships with the state and county and other agencies. And, because of politics of who so-called owns the building and who owns the land over there after these floods and all their federal funding. And, we were having a lot of problems as we were, trying to work with the county. I just want to say, too, I don't know if you guys seen that, our county council member, one of our council members over here, got busted, how should I say this, selling drugs and, running the drug ring here in Kauai. I'm very sure everyone read about that. So, I'm not trying to just point the finger, but this is the truth. And it's so corrupt here with our government officials, and especially the county of Kauai and the county council, and they're not following due process. And therefore, they're trying to involve the kids and our kids program. And, they're getting caught in the middle where, that's not supposed to happen to the keiki and to our ohana, especially to our sacred, protocol that we have with the va'a. So, yeah, several weeks ago, we got the call early in the morning that the county of Kauai, the trucks that were, their dump trucks and stuff were loading up our canoes and our belongings to fix the hale. And, we are in negotiations with the state and county, and we're applying for grants and all these things. And also, there is no communication with them, with our Ohanas and with our programs and with our nonprofits. And they just came and took the canoe and, made us like criminals. This was the second incident we had with them. The first one was they shut down our kids' workday program like a month ago. And then, the police was called and we couldn't, access the building and all this kind of thing. So, we're trying to work in good faith. So a couple of days after that, we had a big meeting with the mayor, Kauai, and the county council members and Parks and Rec, and then brought up all these different issues. And, of course, they're trying to build this resilience building in Kepui, which is further down the road in the Wainiha area, for emergency shelter, which is actually right on the beach. So this is, there's a big concern of the families, and the county says that they don't have to do a Section 106 or do any kind of consultation with us, with the families, and because they don't have to, and they're just going to go along with their plan. And these places, are very sacred. There's burial sites. There's families that's still in the ground that happened when there was a tsunami back in the 1940s and 50s. But yeah, the company took our canoe, and we went on this wild goose chase.
So you got the canoe back. You got the canoe back, right?
So we got the canoe back 2 days ago.
What was the explanation?
There's still no explanation why. They gave us a runaround. First, they told us that it was in Lihui, so we went on to Lihui then it wasn't in Lihui, the Parks and Rec, and, we had family members that went to the buildings and to Louise and some others who kept on calling, and there was no response. Then finally, we had a response from Parks and Rec, one of the people who works in there, and then said that it was in Lihui. So we went up to Lihui, and it wasn't there, and they told us, and we found out that it was in Kapa'a. So then we went to Kapa'a, to the Parks and Rec place, where they had security over there to escort us in, like we were criminals, to go retrieve our canoe. And of course, what I feared, the canoe wasn't handled properly, and they piled a whole bunch of wood and all this supplies on top of it, which caused a lot of damages, scratches, and dings. And just, really desecrating to the KT and the families. And, still today, there's no reason why. So we're still going to be asking for answers on this one.
Okay, and let's switch it up because we're running short of time here. I'm really, really disgusted, and I think FBI reports should be continued to be filed against the County of Kauai, the police department, the mayor's office, all of them, especially regarding the canoe. Now, that's private property, and that was theft. So let's move on, though, because we're used to having our shit stolen, aren't we? Because they steal everything that's not nailed down. Okay, so let's move on. Now,
so yesterday, yesterday,
well, wait. Let me just say something real fast, okay? So a few years ago, we were all over there protecting this lo'i. And Jesse Olanalan came down with his backhoe. Every cop in Kauai County and their uncle came down. I watched them unhook their gun holsters, unstrap their guns to go shoot us. And we were just trying to protect our taro patch and our ahu and the bones that are located on this property in Wainiha. That being said, I have to say, Wainiha has been under the onslaught of the foreigners for so long. You'll recall Pierce Brosnan gang. They stole all the water, took out the lo'i. Here again, they're taking out the lo'i. And here's the thing. If you're watching and you're not from here, you need to understand this stuff they're destroying can feed us. So, Kaimi, you got 2 minutes. Tell us about the lo'i. What happened at what Jesse did to the lo'i.
So, Jesse Olanalan, probably on some kind of addiction or, drug. He was, I guess, so-called paid by some private landowner to come and destruct the lo'i over here, which it was pretty much immaculate and radiant. We have the whole neighborhood that was depending on this Momona, which is a very fertile place to be feeding off of during this kind of pandemic time. So they came and pillaged the place, random things all over with the tractor. and it's destroyed, and pretty much trying to broke our hearts and our spirits. But this reveals more truth on the desecration that's been going on by these perpetrators.
Okay, well, you know what's going to go down, right? Everyone's going to get together and we're going to put that Kahlo back. And Jesse, I think we need to get Jesse in the taro patch. That might cure his ills. Him and his whole family. I don't know what to say, Kaimi. Thanks for holding it down for us over there. And I'm happy that you're there and that everyone is still resisting and still not taking it laying down. I find it really ironic that while Jesse was taking out our taro patch, there was a tsunami warning in that area. Just like the earth is going, don't you dare take our taro patch down. And if people commit desecrations and they don't know how to read, the signs around them, it's just unbelievable. Thanks for calling in this morning. How can people get a hold of you if they want to come help? How can people get a hold of you?
You can message me on Facebook. That's the best way.
Okay.
Okay. Or contact you, and you can transfer them to me.
Okay.
Mahalo everybody for your help. Let's put it out there. Stop the desecration. People like this needs to get locked up, put in jail. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui. Sending all our love to Kamavailualani, Manokalani po. We love you, Kaimi. Kaimi Himosura, Hermosura, our Konohiki, actually federally recognized Konohiki of Halelea, the North Shore of Kauai. And now we're running about 10 minutes late, so we got to try to play catch up here, and we can do that in the 10 o'clock hour because I want to spend a lot of time with this young lady. I want to say a big mahalo to Kukana for her and her ohana yesterday. They went ahead when they boarded up all the bathrooms so that nobody could use the bathroom and nobody could wash their hands. I just don't understand that whole mindset of why would you close a bathroom? Why would you deny anybody to use the bathroom? But what she and her ohana did was they went and they figured out how to give the residents in Waimanalo warm showers. So let's tune in and talk story here with Miss Kukana. Aloha. Thanks for zooming in with us this morning, young lady. Thank you so much.
Aloha mai. Mahalo for having me.
Thank you again. And I know you can tell we get, technical stuff's going on. Our engineer's working his butt off to show all the photos. But here we have a photo of the bathrooms being boarded up. Were you guys shocked when you saw that?
Honestly, the mayor has tried previously to lock bathrooms. I think it was within 2019 where Mayor Caldwell passed something where they have security coming in to lock bathrooms. Now, well, that specific bathroom doesn't have a gate or a door. And so we were kind of tripping out when boards were going up.
Don't you think it's just, as a human being, don't you think it's just amazing that that's what other human beings could come up with, is locking up the bathrooms? All right, so let's talk about, tell me what happened. Okay, so you found out the bathrooms was being locked up, and then you guys had an idea. So go from there.
So basically, we needed a solution, yeah, and the solution was community-based, I guess. And when the video, I took to my platform on Facebook to kind of try to get the word out. And what that did was it nudged on the hearts and minds of individuals who sit in prominent places, as well as others in the community. And what that did was prompted in this massive concern that started to kind of come in through email calls, just to share, kind of listening in on the other topic you folks are talking about up on Kauai, on how this blanket effect kind of takes place. And that's very common here in Hawaii because of the standards and education, the standards that they follow, federal guidelines, and why I'm sharing that though is I see a common problem with all communities. And it really is this blanket effect. They need to understand that each community has their own needs, and it's really easy to access those needs if you are really looking to communicate with that said community, and so what happened down here in Waimanalo Beach Park campsite area was shameful. I understand the reasoning behind why the mayor would have closed bathrooms, but really what we need to understand is that's not where the origin problem was. The origin problem was the travel that was continuing to be allowed into our home through airports and ports, and so what has happened now is Hawaiian people, not only Hawaiian, but Hawaiian people have now become prisoners to our home, in our home, while tourism has been running rapid. Of course, now they're trying to get a hold of that, but it's already caused the effects that we're all facing now, and so to me, that's shameful. If they knew what this community was doing, and they should know, we've been very vocal. We participate at the neighborhood board level, which is our communities and all communities' first line of legislation, so we have myself, I have constituents. I might not be on a payroll, but I have kuleana, and it's through that kuleana we found out the needs of our people. And a simple read of the minutes of our neighborhood board meeting could identify the needs of this community and what they're standing to do for their community members. And so for me, I took it as a slap in the face, especially when Waimanalo Beach Park campsite bathroom was a targeted bathroom to board up first, basically. And it might be controversial, what I say now, but this is my mana'o. I believe that the targeted bathrooms that they wanted to close first were indeed the ones that had houseless and homeless encampments close to them. And so after speaking to the head person of IHS yesterday, I got a better understanding about how things are the struggles are for different houseless and homeless across our Pai'aina. If there's there's different difficulties and struggles for them in the urban tract. They don't have bathrooms, so they're putting their feces and everything in between buildings, which causes health risks for not only themselves but for everyone else around them by closing these bathrooms. And in Waimanalo, it's a bit different because they all coexist together, and they're living in this kauhale style where they're functioning as this ohana unit, and one of their main resources is that bathroom, and to shut it down like that means that only pushes them to go have to make feces and mimi in the bushes, and honestly, as a community member, I don't want that for my community. We are being put into this quarantine, but at the same time, we still need spaces for our community members to be able to walk outside of their home and maybe go to the water's edge, take a walk in their community, to gain their sanity. Myself and my family, we are all quarantined in our home. We go out when we need to, and we shouldn't be faced with the possibility of being infected,
right?
Because of the large amounts of people who are corralling down at our ocean. The problem with the parks being closed is they're now coming into my community to park, and so it's bringing these non-residents closer to our home, and even in Waimanalo, we have different struggles. I'm in the Homestead area, which is nearest the beach park, and with their parking lot closed, they're parking across the street on the Homestead side and up in our street.
And there's no enforcement.
No, there isn't. And there isn't. And so our beach flat people, they have their like right-of-ways, and so now you have non-residents coming into those communities with the water. And like you said, there's no enforcement. This community of Waimanalo, Tita, has been dealing with this kind of encroachment in their lives for some time, and we've been active
as well as the state level to get some kind of relief.
It's a lot like our community on the North Shore of Kauai, Waimanalo, or North Shore Oahu, where, it's like a free-for-all because they want our beaches, yeah?
And because we live in beach communities, we're the ones that take the hit.
So like on North Shore Kauai now, all the tourists are being allowed to camp on the beach. In the open space beaches on North Shore, but Kauai residents are on lockdown. And the tourists are just running rampant around over there. It's just nuts, this whole thing. So I just want to mahalo you for going after some solutions and making them happen. And that's what that's the glory of Lahui. Is I always say, you give a Hawaiian a stick, we can build a whole city, yeah? One stick. One OO stick.
Yeah. Because we're about looking for a solution.
Yes.
And
how to fix.
Granted, when we start learning truth, we have to go through a process of, anger,
all that,
betrayal, all that stuff, but that's a process you got to take
Here's a need.
To be able to get to a solution.
Here's a need. Find a way to fill it. And that is our number one. Our number one, I believe, that's our kokua. That's that value that's in us that hurts us so much when we can't help, because that's our aloha, yeah? So thank you so much. You guys are awesome.
You're so welcome.
Please send me your stories and let's keep in touch. I want to very much stay in touch with Waimanalo. All my aloha to you guys over there in Waimanalo.
Mahalo
and to you,
nui.
Kukana.
Thank you for the time.
Mahalo nui. And what an unreal thing to do, just to see what the community needs, yeah? And take it on and go do it. No guts. No glory, all guts, yeah? Just go take it on and do them and provide what people need. And in our houseless population, there's all ethnicities. They all got a warm shower. So big mahalo to you, Kukana, and your family. And wow, really a lot of stuff today. And Chris, you're doing awesome, HB. Hanging in there. And next online, we have Doug Niederhausen. Is Doug with us? Where is Doug? Okay. So how about we have a song to a little bit decompress? Uncle Reggie. Let's take a quick break. You're going to want to be here for this next segment because Doug Niederhausen wrote his paper. Everything he studied was about epidemics in Hawaii. He comes from the Smithsonian Native American. They published his newest paper today, and it's exactly about the pandemic happening here in Hawaii. So go use the bathroom, get some coffee, get whatever, and share the link. We'll be back in just a few moments. Enjoy Uncle Reggie Burdon. Whoa, Chris.
Ko aloha kau Hei pohine A he kui e ha I ko manau Haina I ha mai Anaka buana O I mai no ka ua La e piri Aina ia mai Anaka buana O I mai no ka ua La e piri Uvau no ke ia E mai ai E a ke kanaka E komo mai
And we're back, and we're being real informal with how we're playing things because we got some tech things going on. But I want to say a big mahalo to Kalia Prince. I think I sent you her photo, Chris. But if can find them, can. If no can, no can. But Kalia is making these masks. Mahalo, Kalia. So she said she never have elastics, so she got creative, and she got a pair of LuLaRoe pants and made the strings. So this one goes over like this. And then, and look, sister made me one that says what? Honey! Ooh! I'm so stoked. Thank you, Kalia. Okay, so I'm masked up now. I got my gloves. And again, just want to say a big mahalo to Kalia Prince. And also Nalani Kaniakua has been making masks as well. And to all of our Kanakas that are being creative and inventive, send me your stuff so I can help you network with people, okay? Because people need these items. So let me know. For those of you that are looking for masks, maybe you can come up with throw some fabric at people that you know that are sewing. But very definitely this is, well, I think it's a lot prettier than my coconut bra mask. What you think? I made it for my punani, but in this time it's like, it was supposed to protect me from the president. I know, I'm crazy. Doug, I made you crack up. We have Doug Herman on the phone. Hey, Doug. Wait, I can't hear you, Doug. Doug? Hey, aloha, Doug Herman. Okay, I'm going to just talk for a minute, and then I'm going to turn it over to you and Kalani to just go down the path. Doug is my friend, first and foremost, my brother from another mother. And he comes to us from Washington, D.C., from the Native American Smithsonian Institute. And he's one heck of a guy, currently managing Grove Farm Museum and doing a really great job bringing that plantation back to life, bringing the museum back to life, and her people, very colorful time in our period. And Doug did all of his studies about epidemics in Hawaii. Today, the Smithsonian published his article about epidemics and pandemics in Hawaii. So I'm going to get out of the hot seat. Kalani's going to come over here and talk story with you. And I just want to welcome you to Songs of Sovereignty. Doug Herman, everyone. Mahalo for zooming in from the island of Kauai.
All right. Lovely. Thank you. Hey, how's it, Kalani?
How you, brother?
Yeah. Moving into the hot seat.
Yeah, that's me. Moving slowly, but totally protected. I figured since you're coming on and you're talking about pandemics, I get myself all set. And you'll notice it's all store-bought equipment, which means I had this on hand long before the announcement.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Last week, actually, last month on the 11th, and I'm going to give up on this practicing social distancing. Last week on the 11th, I was in Honolulu. I was thinking about you. We were at an emergency conference and just recalling all of our days up in Washington, D.C. or up in the Northeast where we're, been spreading the word about the need for connectivity and community and capacity within our communities for what, the last decade? So this is nothing new, and really impressed with the publication. And why don't you go ahead and enlighten everybody about, I think in Hawaii, maybe it's the surroundings, the beautiful weather, the beaches, the great food, or the family and the music and all the friendships that make us have this amnesia about the historical perspective. So every once in a while, at an intersection like this, it's good to bring up the historical perspective so that we can remember what actually is occurring.
That's absolutely right. And I think, the reason I put out the article that I did is we're seeing that amnesia right now. We're seeing visitors, and when I say visitors, I'm including not just the tourists who come in for short term, but people who come and stay for months at a time. In some cases, people come and stay months at a time for years. I would still consider them visitors. They have not, put their roots down in the Aina. They have not made the commitment, made the connection to the community. And we really see in a lot of remarks that some of them have been making online that they feel like they should be part of the community, but they're clearly not, because they're talking in sort of us and them kinds of terms. And some of the language that's been out there has been really not good about, these locals are treating us bad. They're treating us. In one case, a couple of people actually said, we feel like we're being treated like lepers. And I was like, oh my gosh, did you really just say that? Do you have any idea what that means here? So I thought, okay, this is the time to just kind of remind everybody that there's a long history here, and it's a history of mo'ohihia, of intergenerational trauma for Native Hawaiians that is not that long ago, and in some cases still kind of fresh in some people's minds. You're going to tell your own story about that in a little bit. So I did a dissertation at UH Manoa in the geography department about basically Western writings about the Hawaiian Islands over time. And really what I saw in the course of those writings is how the writing changed over time, depending on what it is that the Westerners really wanted here. So, when Captain Cook shows up and the early explorers, they're looking at Hawaiians going, wow, these people are really healthy. Especially Cook himself said there's seems to be an absence of disease here. Of course, Cook changed that himself right there. Well, his men did, brought the first wave of epidemics here. But they were also talking about the Hawaiians as equals, really. They're dealing with these guys as equals. The technological difference between Westerners and the Hawaiians at that time was not that great. I mean, firearms was the big difference, really. But then over time, we see the technology gap widening and Westerners more and more going, oh, well, this land's kind of underutilized. These late natives are lazy. We could be doing a whole lot more with this place than we are doing. And at the same time, the Hawaiians are being wiped out by one epidemic after another. And the story is so tragic. When I wrote that one particular chapter of my dissertation, and I reread a version of it this morning, preparing for this, and it just made me cry. It really did. It's so powerful. The massive amount of death, the absolute tragic loss of life that was going on, and how at the same time, the Westerners who, because they have ancestral resistance to a lot of these diseases, and are in fact probably spreading it without even knowing it, blaming the Hawaiians for this, saying that the reason that they're dying out is because their bad behavior, their moral decrepitude. They come up with these long lists of licentiousness, bad mothering, drunkenness, the oppression of the chiefs, indolence, laziness, all these kinds of things are what the Westerners are saying. That's why the Hawaiians are dying out. Now, to be fair, contagion theory, disease, germ theory hadn't really been invented yet. They were working on it. It wasn't until Louis Pasteur in the 1860s really confirmed the whole notion of germ theory, which before that they didn't really know. I mean, they knew that it spread from person to person, but they didn't know how. They didn't know what the mechanism was. They didn't know why some people got it and some people didn't. They didn't understand, genetic resistance and so forth and so on. So the Westerners are, for the most part, not getting sick, or when they do get sick, it's not too bad. They recover pretty well. Whereas when the Hawaiians get sick, because they have no genetic immunity, they're just dropping like flies. And the missionaries are documenting this at the time, saying, and it's in the article, different quotes from different people saying, in one epidemic, 1/2 the population of the entire island was swept away. And then he says, and it is not to be suspected that all of the cases have been reported. So it's probably more than half. I think that was on Molokai. I don't remember exactly. I got to look that one up. So, but then as the 19th century increases, they're just saying, well, they're wasting away from their indolence. Their very blood is corrupted with the taint of disease. They're saying all these really terrible things. And at the same time, they're saying, well, otherwise the economy is doing really well. And, the ships are coming and our trade is up. And looks like the Hawaiians are dying out. So I guess this place is going to be occupied by somebody else. We just hope they're going to be Christians, whoever it is. And that's like in the 1840s, late 1840s, 1850s, they're saying that. So it's really kind of freaky when you look back on it, how this was used. And then as we move sort of later into the 1800s, we get into like the Bayonet Constitution era, when the Western heritage, I'm never really sure what to call these guys, because some of them, they're missionary kids, they're born here. So are they Westerners? What do you call them? I don't want to call them haoles because I don't like using that word any more than I have to.
I think they were eloquently termed the descendants.
There you go. But not all of them were. So you have your descendants, and then you have some who are people who, like Klaus Spreckels, these kinds of guys,
right.
just
Sort of
moved here and just set up shop.
Kind of descendants and friends.
And not all of them were Americans either. You look at the list, the Committee of 13, who overthrew the monarchy, they're not all Americans on there. It's like German, this and that and everything. And just as an aside, I feel it's really important to correct this one historical thing that I hear misrepresented so often. It was not the sugar planters that overthrew the monarchy. You look at the list of the Committee of 13, almost none of them were sugar planters. They were merchants of other sorts. They were businessmen, absolutely. But the sugar planters were actually initially opposed to the whole thing because they were afraid of what was going to happen to their labor with the Chinese Exclusion Act and all that kind of thing. So just wanted to get that in. because I hear a lot of Hawaiians saying, oh, the sugar planters overthrew the monarchy. That's not actually facts.
I concur. I think we look in a lot of strange directions when we look historically at this. I think, those of us who have taken a careful look at it can see that the hand of commerce, of greater commerce, of finance, at what was an international scale was actually at play. And to blame only the American sugar growers or to blame only the American consortium is to be blind to the fact that even today, greater economic pictures prevail. And that's part of what we're trying to show here is that even though this is Hawaii, we're connected to a much larger global picture, a much larger global history that I think it's good to enlighten both the visitor industry, that sort of migrational resident industry that you talk about, and it is an industry. There's a lot of money to be made in those condos and timeshares. And then the actual people who live here more full-time, and then the folks whose families have always been from here. So, and they're a mix too. At this point in our history, they're not all Kanaka. There are people from Chinese, Japanese, Portuguese persuasions that are 3, 4 generations, 5 generations here in the islands. They deserve a place at the table.
It's absolutely true. And one of the things that we emphasize at Grove Farm Museum, and my curator, Moises Maria, who's a local Filipino, reminds me of this regularly. And that is that a unique culture emerged here in these islands. And it, a little bit different from island to island, but just looking at Kauai, a unique culture emerged here out of that mix of Kanaka Maoli, and all the people who came in to work on the plantations had to live together, work together, talk to each other, connect with each other, deal with each other. And, we know that, those of us, those of you who are from here know this, and those of us like me who've been here or been connected with this community for a long time, we know this. And so then we have these visitors, and you use a great term, occasional residents or something like that. They're not part of that. They haven't connected to that. I mean, I can't speak for all of them. I mean, some probably have, but, on the most part, they don't connect with that. And there's, lots of reasons for that. I had a very hard time connecting it. When I first came here, I was like, whoa, these people don't like me. And it seems to be racist. And oh my God, and then your white privilege bone gets tweaked, like, oh my God, they're racist. Oh! And, then you stay here long enough and then you learn, the history, and you come to understand, that it was real class division, plantation style, there were the owners and there were the laborers, and, and the owners were predominantly white. So you get put into that class and people are going to look at you and go, oh, he's an asshole, just automatically. And I think that was probably more true back in the 80s when I came here, when the plantations were still operating, and my housemate had swung a machete in the cane fields and worked in the pineapple cannery and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then you learn that difference and that history, and then you're feeling like, oh, okay, I get it now. Oh, I need to show aloha. I need to have compassion. I need to respect this place, these people, this culture, this is their place. I'm new here. I can't come in. This is not like America when you come here. It's a different place. It's a different country, basically, different culture. The rules that apply on the mainland, especially in big cities, they don't apply here. You don't walk to an office somewhere and say, this is what I want. You walk into the office and say, oh, so hot today. How are you doing, Auntie? You got to connect with the person first, and then the job comes second.
That's a beautiful thing. I mean, it obviously here, it is not transactional. It's relational. It's like beginning with the relationship is fundamental to everything.
You know, and I was working at the National Museum of the American Indian, and a boss came in, a white guy comes in, and he says to me pretty early on, he says, well, my understanding of relations at work is that they're transactional. And I was just like, whoa, this is the American Indian Museum? Is that really how we want to see things here? Because to me, it's relations first. You build the relations, then you worry about the transactions.
Absolutely.
And you build the relations, yes, because you need the transactions, sure, but you got to show that it's the relationship first.
No, and they're at the Native American Museum. You guys have always, I mean, I've had a fair number of interactions there myself, separate from the contingency from Hawaii. I need to point that out. Separate from the state's offerings or any of that. I was there working with the IPCCWG, working with you guys on climate, on indigenous response from indigenous and native communities. So I guess what I'm saying is meeting Jose and you on an equal playing field gave me the ability to critique what was going on there. And you know that. You know I was less than generous when we first interacted, but you guys are always stand up, very straight ahead. I find very little room to complain with the activities at the Smithsonian Native American Museum, and same with the African Museum. It seems like people are curating in the proper way. People are trying to make a real effort to put the real story out there like you're doing here in Hawaii. So I can't tell you how pleased I am to see you out there in Groves Farm. I mean, you know, what a fantastic thing for them to take the responsibility to go after real curation, to try and give a historical perspective to the community, to the plantation's place and everything, to really the relational aspects that we find here in Hawaii.
Yeah, and you know, it's tough. I come into Grove Farm Museum and it's basically the home of the descendants. That's what it is. And there's nothing wrong with that. And the Wilcoxes were good people and, you know, did a lot of good work for the community and so forth. Very charitable, kind of lived a lot of them lived the Puritan values that Abner and Lucy Wilcox brought here from New England. But what are we saying about everybody else? You know, the house was built by the laborers. The Grove Farm Company was built by the laborers. That's how the money was made, was through the labor. And, you know, you get Marxist about it, you know, you're extracting surplus profit. Basically, you're not paying your labor what they're worth. That's how you make a profit. That's the Marxist analysis. So, you know, and here's all these people who lived all their lives and formed the bulk of the community on the island. You know, I always say anybody whose family has been here more than a generation, their ancestors, and other than Kanaka Maoli, their ancestors probably came here because of something to do with sugar, more likely than not. So this is really the story of the people of Kauai. And I really feel that it's our job to tell that story in a way that connects more and is more relevant and meaningful to all the people here. So we got our work cut out for us, but we got a beautiful place. We actually have a really wonderful collection of Hawaiian artifacts. We got all kinds of plantation era stuff. We got the locomotives, the steam locomotives, the train tracks and everything. So we're doing our best to tell that story, you know, like you were saying, get the real story out there. Let's tell more of the story than we are right now. We're doing a good job, but we can tell more. And I think this is an opportunity that we're having right now to tell more of that story.
Yeah. You know, when we talk about it deeply, as we have over the years, and some really nice scotch from time to time, we find that the story of Hawaii is connected to the world in a much deeper way, that in fact, in Hawaii, we were developing the preamble, as it were, the precursor to what a global culture might look like, wherein all areas of belief are accepted, all people's cultural eccentricities were shared and accepted by others, And there was a beauty in that. I find it interesting, and before we get too off track, I want you to remark on this historically and from an academic perspective. It seemed as if all belief systems were integrating nicely. It was moving along right until the Kanaka Maoli perspective of the inability for humans to own land as property surfaced, right? When the Hawaiians, the Kanaka in particular, started insisting that humans cannot own land, that land, in fact, is part of the planet and the greater system of God, and that a person could use the land, but at the end of their death, that land would return to community purposes, to serve the greater community. I think that ran afoul of the monarchy, of the development of there's, inheritable wealth and possession that push on and that kind of thing. In Polynesian culture, you can inherit prestige. You can inherit mana. You can inherit the ha, the last breath. But wealth and stuff was shared with the community. It wasn't something that was an individuated thing. It was the power of we over me. And reflect on that for a moment, on how that would impact our social distancing new form of society.
Wow, that's a big one. So many things in there. I got to backtrack and try to.
I know. I heard you were on. I was desperate to get on the show because I'm like, are you kidding me? We can go deep on this thing, way deeper than most go, about what these frameworks mean, and who does it advantage when we change this kind of social behavior?
Yeah, well, two things right off the bat. One is, we often hear said that, vai is water, vai is wealth in Hawaiian. And I think wealth is the wrong term. I think that's a very Western way of thinking. Vai means abundance. That's what it means. The more water you have, the more you can produce. But Hawaiians did not have, any kind of capital that could be stored. The best you could do was be like really nice umeke, feather capes, maybe some nice makaloa mats. That's about it, because everything's going to rot. Nothing sticks around. Food is the most important thing. So you want, abundance of food. That's the main thing. Now, Westerners come in, and Americans especially, have this really strong notion of private property. That is the American thing. And it's relevant to this moment right now because one of the perhaps lesser known forces leading to the Mahele was this notion, well, the Hawaiians are dying out. What they need is private land ownership. That's what's going to save the Hawaiians. Because, of course, they're dying out because they're indolent. They're indolent because they don't own their land. It's all controlled by the chiefs. So why work harder? You're not going to make any more money. So if we just get the private land, then they'll work harder. They won't be indolent, and then they won't die from these epidemics. It's a really interesting logic that was put into place. And, of course, what we all know really is they weren't really thinking about the Hawaiians that much. They were thinking, how can I get some private property here so that I can do what I want because I'm seeing opportunity. Commodore Wilkes, one of the less pleasant people that come through in the history of the Hawaiian Islands, went around remarking, this would be a good place for a mill site, and this would be a good place for, this kind of industry. This would be a good place for that kind of industry. Unfortunately, these indolent natives, who really hated the native Hawaiians, he spoke so disparagingly of them all the time, because he's coming from that industrial revolution mentality of this place is underutilized, these people don't want to work, all that kind of stuff. So, the Western mind, especially the private property thinking American mind, because, the Europeans weren't that far out of feudalism still. And not that I'm saying Hawaii was feudal, because I'm not. But, they still had some sense of the commons, collective land ownership, stuff like that. Americans did not, and you see this, it really cracks me up. Place names in America. are so often, city names, town names, and so forth, are so often people's names. Levittown, Johnsboro, Charlottesville. It just goes on and on and on. It's like, I'm great. I own this land. I created this town. Look at me. Totally the opposite of an indigenous approach to things, where A, people can't own the land. B, you're only on the land for a blip and then you're gone. So why are we going to think about you and your importance here? What's important is the Aina. So you look at Hawaiian place names, and I've written a paper on this, and they're much more focused on what does this place tell you? What do you need to know about this place if you're going to go there? And Carlos Andrade has done work on that too up in Haena, and has been a really good resource on that. So, absolutely, you get into the private property mode, then it's every person for itself, and then you lose your social safety net, which is what we're seeing here in the US as a whole. And people can't take care of it. People can't produce food because they don't have land. And the sugar plantations come in, and they okay, we're going to lease your land. Oh, okay. John Weiss wrote about this in Ancient Hawaiian Civilization. They say, oh yeah, leasing your land, and then the landowner comes back, 5 years later, whatever. All the landmarks are gone. It's just a field of sugarcane. You can't find where your land was because the tree, the rock, the stream, whatever it was by which you knew your parcel, gone. Now, how do you get your land back after that? So, yeah, it's a big issue, but I'm probably losing track of where you were going with this.
No, you're spot on track. That's why I kept myself from interrupting. They say, why am I talking? Wait. Right, WAIT, because you were nailing it precisely. I mean, and it's a slow erosion, this idea of shifting values. But when it happens, it gets concretized into the framework till the descendants of those same Kanaka are now arguing for their right to own the land. And that becomes ironic to somebody like me.
It does. And how do you cope with that? I mean, to me, one of the big questions, I tried to write a paper on this. I started writing a paper on this. I got scared.
Yeah, as we do all.
I still have it, but the paper is about, it's kind of, the big question is, I used to, when I was here, coming in and out of here in the 90s and the 2000s and so forth, I was very close with Uncle Mal Kalahiki. I was part of his ohua at the Ho'okuikahi ceremony at Pu'ukohola. My t-shirt on for 5 years. And he was one of the people, him, Lynette Cruz, other folks, but those are the ones that I knew, organizing events at the palace. And I'd go, or I'd watch it on video, or I'd see the photos afterwards and all that. And I was at the big palace event in '93, first time, January '93, when they first had the big hui at the palace, which was just fascinating. And people were showing up in all kinds of different costumes. And people show up to the palace, some of them dressed like Royal Hawaiian Guard people, some of them in Kihei and Malo and Ladet. And so I asked myself, looking at the history of the Hawaiian monarchy, if it had not been interrupted, if it had continued to today, what would it look like? That is the question. And how do you pick it up after a century of discontinuity? And that's what the Kanaka Maoli are struggling with. How do you pick that back up? And what do you wear? How do you dress? How do you talk? You look at Kalakaua, who had electricity at the White House, electricity at the palace before the White House had it. Hydroelectric power up in Nu'uanu. Hawaiians grabbed the tools. Whatever tools came their way, they grabbed them and used them. I remember Billy Fields over on Moku Keawe saying to me, well, he's a stone wall builder, a stone guy. And he said, well, I use a tractor because I figure if my ancestors had tractors, they'd have used them.
My grandfather, he famously said to me, If you're walking down the beach and something washes up on shore, hey, you check it out. If it works for you, you put it in your pocket. If it don't work for you, leave them on the beach. Maybe this thing is for somebody else. And then he looked at me, he was Taro Farmer from Wailuanui. He looks at me and he says, boy, if a D6 washes up on a beach, I'm taking that tractor. I was like, yeah, exactly, right? We just didn't have the technology wash up. Soon as it does, we understand. The Battle of Kepa Valaulaula, I think it's Vancouver who remarks in his logs about the Hawaiians' fascination with the fire stick. They understood projectile getting propelled, propellant in the back end. They didn't, he remarked how they fired their guns in the air and the Hawaiians didn't run like the Tahitians. They walked up to him and grabbed the gun and started looking down the barrel like, how'd you make that work? You know what I mean? So we were ready for the technology, but the technology did not dehumanize us. We were trying to figure out, what is this cavalcade of human culture and how does it fit into this new world? And you're spot on, Doug. This is a conversation interrupted by capitalism. I believe the same way those same capitalists interrupted the conversation in Tokyo Harbor in 1870. I think the Japanese were on their way to figuring out something really different. And the commerce world of Europe, the European consortium banks, the people we respond to in GDP, the very people that make people in Beijing speak English at the airport, these people are actively putting an end to our adaptation capacity and trying to create automatons. And to that end, I want to ask you your response to this. When I watched the national profile, and even here in the state of Hawaii, Governor Ige's response, the president's response, it reminds me of George W. Bush after 9/11. It seems like the answer is, hey, everybody, go out and spend money, keep the economy healthy. Doesn't really matter what else is going on. But I translate that into, the elite, the rich are going to again profit at the expense of the everyman and every woman. And we're going to find our families suffering. And their attitude seems to be, hey, that's okay. This plague will help us out. We got too many people in the world. Let's go ahead and dwindle the numbers, particularly in the brown and black stage. And those Asians, thank goodness they're getting thrown into the mix. And then let's just keep on pushing along as long as the economy and the market works.
That's the big one. That's the heavy question. And, looking at the Republican response to, the stimulus bill, the things that they've been proposing, there's the saying, they hate socialism except for big business. We'll bail out the big business. Oh, no problem. Socialism's good for them. But for the ordinary people, no. So, I've been struggling with this a lot in my own mind. So I shut down Grove Farm Museum back March 13th. As soon as we had our first 2 cases on Kauai, the Grand Princess came through here before it went to Big Island, before people got found out they were sick. About a dozen of them came and toured our museum. So we're like, whoa, are we at risk? Well, enough time has passed that we're not, but it was a scary thing. It's like, okay, we got to shut this down. We got to protect our people from exposure from other visitors coming in, number one. And so now the governor's put out his restrictions, and God bless him, the mayor of Kauai's put out even tougher ones, which, long overdue. But he's really, they're doing a great job leading the charge here in the islands, I think. So the question is, how do you keep your business running? Yeah. And I learned how to be a leader, well, unfortunately, first by a lot of bad examples, which I think we all go through, but also about reading, what I've learned from Kanaka Maoli, in the 20-something, 30-something years now that I've been working with Native Hawaiians and reading and studying And it's that whole notion of pono and kuleana, responsibility, and that is the chiefs are responsible to the people as much as the people are responsible to the chiefs. And it's very Confucius had the same thing. It's a two-way street. It's a set of relations where there is responsibility both directions. So right now, our museum's closed to the public. It's still operating. People are still working. It is a farm. And my attitude is my number one kuleana is to look after my people. That is my job in this position. I got to keep these guys working as any way I possibly can and not have any layoffs. That is my aim. No layoffs.
Spoken like a konahiki, actually, the person that makes it possible, strongly making it possible. Konahiki. The person who's really responsible for the welfare of the people that are there. So, rightly so, you should be concerned. And rightly so, they should be looking in your direction, anticipating you to be looking after their welfare. And this kind of behavior, I'm glad you're modeling, Doug, because we need to see more of that in our leadership. We need to see people willing to take a risk. The viewers know that I work at the University of Hawaii National Disaster Preparedness Training Center. I was just at the conference. We were just meeting with our FEMA counterparts, with everyone in the state, civil defense, and that was on the 11th to the 13th. And as you said, on the 13th, we're looking at 2 cases. I think we're looking at like above 73, 74 now. These things happen exponentially. We're making an appeal because I don't hear it in the normal course of action. I only hear it in social media and people sharing at the grocery store. We do need to change our behavior. We need to be less concerned with our transactional consumership and more concerned with our relational interdependentship, the way we need each other in order to survive.
And Hawaiians can give the example for that. When I remember I did an interview with Lily Kalakame'elehiva for my website project on He'eia. And she was like, I love living over here in He'eia because, when the hurricane comes, you're lying at Long's or wherever, and the guy in front of you is saying, Auntie, you got enough, you want to get in line in front of me. They're looking after each other. Everybody was making sure that everybody had enough. It wasn't, I got to go in and grab them all quick before everybody else. That is the ethos that we need to have, is that you look after your communities. And so, we have this huge crisis going on here. And the question is, how do we look after our communities? We need the leadership to do that. And, number one, we really needed to lock down the islands, should have done it sooner. It really had to happen. That's how you nip this thing in the bud. But number two, we got to take care of each other, which with social distancing is a little awkward, but we can do it. But, producing food, making sure food is distributed, how are we going to make sure that people don't lose their homes? People can't pay their rent, and then there's that whole catch. Well, okay, so the landlord should give them a break on the rent. But then the landlord's dependent on the rent too. So how does he get a break? He or she get a break, So you got this whole network, capitalist network of interdependence. And, that is the issue here. When we lose that communal, we look after each other. Gandhi said, let the last man be our first concern. And, that's the way we look at it.
Yes, I spot on. And, involved at the Gandhi Peace Center and with the Spark Matsunaga Center for Peace here as a mediator. These are not small concerns. We have discussed over the last 2 decades the possibility of the world becoming a smaller geopolitical sphere, and then the introduction of a threat of this nature. Now, I personally think this particular go-round of the pandemic might end up looking more like a dress rehearsal. And I don't mean to say that lightly. People are dying. We will be losing individuals. But I don't think this is the end of the story. There's worse to come. and my focus always being on preparedness, I think we need not waste this opportunity. We should rather seize the moment, review, critique our systems, improve them where they need improving, and be brave enough to make these changes. The changes are coming to us anyway.
That is the key, is being brave enough, you know. And a lot of people, especially in the Hawaiian community, I hear saying, you know, this is our opportunity to push the reset button. And it is an opportunity to do that. Not entirely, I don't think. We're never gonna, you know, I don't think we can change the whole global economy, but we can at least change our local economy. You know, maybe, hopefully, it's going to take bravery, it's going to take leadership, and it would, you know, when I imagine, you know, if we really transform this, it's going to cause some pain to people, especially the wealthy. It is. You know, it's like when the communists took over Cuba and redistributed the land. You know, that's kind of what it takes. I'm sorry to say, you know, that's how you create equity in a society. And the big problem in the US and a lot of wealthier countries, well, it varies from country to country, really it does, is the social equity. And the countries that have gone social democratic have a lot more equity than the ones that remain pure sort of market economy is the way we're going, trickle down theory and all this kind of stuff. But I was just remembering, I wanted to go back to your point about the unique culture here and the example that we set. I interviewed the late artist Herb Kane shortly before he passed away. And one of the things that he said to me is the United Nations should be meeting here in Hawaii, because we show that all these different kind of people can get along and live together and work together. And, you know, we all know it's not without friction. All you got to do is pull out Frank de Lima's joke book. And, you know, you realize, you know, that there's always kind of little tensions and so forth. But
oh, yes.
You put that by making jokes.
Oh, yes. You know, my mother, she used to always say, you know, she would say, boy, don't talk stink about somebody unless you're going to talk stink about everybody. You know, and that's kind of the Hawaiian way, right? It's like we want to make sure the playing field is level. We didn't say it was going to be nice.
Yeah, yes, indeed. So, you know, we really do have lessons that the rest of the world can learn. And, you know, the more we can share that, I mean, this is what I try to do with my publications, my writing, Smithsonian Magazine
Super soft.
in particular, is to try to get these messages out there, you know, that there are lessons to be learned from how things worked here. I think back on Kalakaua and, you know, and Liliuokalani and these guys, you know, what a lot of folks don't realize, especially non-Hawaiians, is how much they were showing one face to the West and the rest of the world, and they were showing another face to their own people. And because their people were expecting something from them, they were expecting that responsibility and that relationships, you know, and there's that famous picture of Queen Liliuokalani sitting on the throne with the feather cape draped over the back of the chair. And she's got her whole Victorian outfit on, and tiara and, you know, sash and all this kind of thing, and big medals and whatnot. Jim Bartels, the late curator of Iolani Palace, way back in the early 2000s, he showed me that picture and he said, now, what do you see here? What draws your attention? And I was like, oh, this outfit that she's wearing, it's all decked out, you know, this, that, the other thing. And he's like, right. And then he pointed to the feather cape and he said, this is what Native Hawaiians see. This is her symbol of her right to rule. You know, all that fancy Victorian stuff, that's for the rest of the world. You know, and Iolani Palace, Stacy Kaneshiro, I think is her name, wrote a great book on Kalakaua and Iolani Palace. It was one of the chapters in there about how he incorporated all of this Hawaiian symbolism subtly. You know, you don't notice. You look at it, you see this Victorian building, but when you know, then you see the kapu sticks and other kinds of things going on in the design of it. So it's hard. It's important, though, I think, to hang on to those ways, to those values, to learn from the Kua'aina, the backcountry people, the people who still hold on to these values. This is why I love being here on Kauai. You know, it's a little more remote, a little less spoiled than some other places.
It's why I picked Big Island.
Yeah, Big Island. We got these kipukas all over the place. Molokai, you know. But every island has its kipuka where the culture retains.
Even Oahu. Even
Sorry?
Oahu. You know what I mean? Back in Maunawili Valley, you know, up there, Haula, there are places, there are tiny little pukas where all of this matters deeply.
Yeah. And then we have this wonderful new generation of Kanaka Maoli with advanced degrees and training. You know, the folks doing the work at He'eia on Oahu, restoring the fish pond, restoring the Tarahula.
Shout out to Cor Schultz and everybody out there in He'eia. You know, they've been at it for a decade.
Koa Schultz, Hikile Cavello, the guys up at Mahana Kua'ola. And that's just one example. And we got it all over. You know, we got the folks up in Ha'ena here on this island, you know, who basically kind of recreated Ahupua'a. Modern kind of way, working with U.S. and state law. They still managed to do it, more or less. So it's showing what can be done.
You look at John Morgan out in Kualoa, you know, what they allowed to blossom with Haki Pu. So it shows that at least some of the big players in the visitor industry are trying to do it a little more responsibly, trying to play at this with a little more of the constructed values inherited from the older, more ancestral society.
That's it. And it behooves all the rest of us to emulate that, you know, to emulate those best values, and to learn to, like you were saying, don't talk, wait. You know, even that simple kind of thing right there, which is, you know, hard for a talker like me. But I learned in the course of interviewing Native Hawaiians, I realized if I just shut up, they're going to talk. And I'll get what I need for the project, and we'll have a much better time, you know, because I don't need to hear myself. I know what I think. I want to hear what they think. And to put into place, you know, these best practices. I had this funny experience. So like a week ago, I went to the Home Depot here, and I picked up some seeds for some herbs I wanted to grow. Yesterday, or the day before, I went to the Home Depot again, because now I'm like, serious, okay, we got to start really growing some stuff. The seed bank wiped out. You know, holy cow, you know, all the flowers were there. And then there was, like, you know, radishes and big orange pumpkins, you know, some things that, you know, local people don't really eat. They were there.
Yeah.
Okra, you know, that was there. Everything else gone. And my curator, Moises, says to me, oh, yeah, you know, Victory Garden, that's what we do here. And he says, oh, and it's a competition.
Yeah. And, you know,
I'm not the only one thinking we got to grow food. Everybody's thinking it.
Yeah, we've been advancing for about 7 years now, the idea of Victory Gardens, virtually interconnected community tree gardens. So taking it beyond just a two-dimensional planting and farming, but using the canopy, the mid-range, the surface crops, and the root crops over time. So everyone here can do this. This is an ancient Indo-Chinese, Polynesian cultural way of eating and feeding themselves. It's not wholly, you know, entrenched in the Polynesian culture alone. I dare say that in ancient Greece and Persia, they were doing much the same thing.
Of course, because the Aina tells us what to do. You know, this is the whole problem with the plantation kind of industry, the monocrop culture. We're going to come in and just plant nothing but corn, nothing but sugarcane.
All driven by the market. All driven by the market.
It's factory in the fields kind of thing. So that's not what we want. What we need is to integrate all this kind of cropping. I'm trying to get seedlings going for fruit trees that we can sell or give away. You know, my feeling is let us propagate food production everywhere on this island. Because with climate change, sea level rise, all these kind of things coming our way, possibly more epidemics, you know, being released in part by climate change and other human activities, we got to be ready. You know, there might be a time when, yeah, the ships do stop coming.
Oh boy.
That it is preparedness, brother. It absolutely is preparedness.
Yeah, you're hitting it now. You're nailing it. And if there's nothing else we get out this program, then let's get out that message. Because in fact, those from the 50s, 60s, and the early and mid 70s, you remember when supplies ran short during the oil embargo, during the Vietnam War, during just the economic downturns before statehood. So those of us who can actualize those memories of when the stores were completely empty and boarded up and the ships were not coming and Young Brothers was not sending anything to the neighbor islands. You'll remember that community capacity and the family's own commitment to growing food, having the resources you need, the water, the energy, this becomes paramount. Back then, everyone had a 55-gallon drum of kerosene as the backup energy source. Today, you can't find a kerosene stove, so it doesn't matter that you would have kerosene.
We got some.
Nicely done. No, and this is the whole point. The whole point is our preparedness is being investigated by the University of Hawaii. The state and the civil defense spend a lot of money and resources getting our populations ready. We need to get some of those resources into the hands of the community directly. And I want to go back to you, Doug, again, and thank you so much for this really great conversation today. And wish you all well there in Kauai and hear from you one last time about how things are going there.
Things, I think things are going great so long as we keep everybody afloat and keep everybody employed as best we can or otherwise taken care of. And I want to thank you so much, brother, for this opportunity to talk with you and to share some mana'o. This has been really, really awesome. And I look forward to seeing you in person when all this is over, and for welcoming all you guys out there on the audience to Grove Farm Museum and Waiole Mission House Museum. Whenever you get a chance, please come by, look me up when it's possible. Mahalo nui loa, ahui ho.
Thank you, brother. Always a pleasure to see you. Give my love to your beautiful wife.
Doug.
Thank you.
Doug Niederhausen Herman, thanks for calling in, Doug, and being with us on Songs of Sovereignty today. Hey, stay healthy and virus-free. Use your masks. I want to say a big mahalo to all of you who tuned in this morning. We're going to leave you with a little bit of music. Big mahalos to Kealia for sending me my beautiful mask. Okay. And here we go, everyone. This is the beginning of the Great Huli. This is the birth throes. So we just got to go for it. Try and enjoy ourselves. Remember, this is the only time in history where we're going to change and save the world by laying around in front of the TV. So don't fuck that up. Enjoy yourselves. Stay healthy. We love you. We'll see you soon. Aloha.
Traveler, running faster, warrior is born, battle to be won, past, trauma, future, hurt. I'm a child of the dirt and I'm ready to give birth, planting a dream, panting I breathe, running towards the future with a handful of seeds, stronger than greed, I am stronger than hate. I stand under the shades of trees planted so long ago, a product of ancestral love. I'm here because my elders dance in the sun. They would give it all up for us, and from day one it was practiced like religion to prepare for the ones to come.
We are here to give all our love to the ones unborn. We are here to give all our love to the ones unborn.
This is love. You forgot truth, you forgot how to live for a time beyond you. It's not about you, it's not about you. It's about the song that is traveling through. It travels through time. Singers will die, but the song lives on through matrilineal lines.
We are here to give all our love to the ones unborn. We are here to give all our love to the ones unborn.
Open your eyes, open your heart. Draining aquifers before they can recharge. We're not in charge, nature's in charge. Look to the stars, remember who you are. Stay humble or fall, we don't know it all. And we are not exempt from natural law. Live selfishly and the structure will fall. But if we live for those unborn, then the song will go on. So before you take a book off the shelf, take a look inside yourself. Answers come to you at light speed. I'm searching for knowledge that I can't find on a news feed. Knowledge found through intuition. Knowledge found through fasting and dancing. This ain't superstition, it's ancestral tradition. So throw me the spear of wisdom, sharpened and sunlit. I'm giving my life to the oneness. I'm a warrior, I'm sun-kissed. I'm armed, but I'm harmless. Protecting cycles of rain and cycles of snow. Fighting for children whose names I will never know. I look up and read the messages written all across the sky. Messages telling us that it's time to evolve or die. It's time to live this life right, so that when our children look back, they look back with pride.
Mahalo for joining us this week. We'll see you again next week on Songs of Sovereignty. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Aloha.